Welcome to Time to Teach with Tammy, the podcast that gives tips, advice, and suggestions to teachers by a real teacher. So sit back and enjoy. And oh yeah, don't forget to subscribe.
We're back. Welcome to
episode 43.
Not part of any series because this is the first episode that we are moving away from a series-based podcast. So, not any series. Today's episode is entitled Looking Forward to Mondays, Not Just Fridays. So I will get into a little bit of that and what that's about. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. But let's just go ahead and get started with the wins and fails segment of the episode. So wins, well, this is very early in the week. Today is Monday. I'm recording on a Monday. I usually don't record on Mondays. I'll usually start on a Tuesday or a Saturday, but I have to because I have weekend plans and I need to get this up and going and ready because I won't even be here to see this through otherwise. So I'm recording really, really early. So all of that is to say, I haven't had much of a week. The school week has just started, but I do actually have a couple of wins. I don't know if that's allowed, but I guess I'm going to allow it. So couple of wins is number one, the fact that, like I said, I won't be here this weekend. That's because we're going camping. So I'm actually really excited about that. I don't know if you can count that as a true win because that actually hasn't happened yet. So I don't know if having something that's about to happen counts as a win, but I'm taking it as a win because I am very excited about our camping trip. We're actually going with a whole group of teachers and friends. The teachers are friends. So so we rented several cabins. And yeah, it's going to be a fun weekend. I am definitely looking forward to that. The other one that I have is last school year, our elementary section had started a safe and peaceful school committee. And I was on that committee because, it's something that really, really interests me. And I really believe in being proactive and thinking about ways that we can build community. And, it's not just security measures, although that's part of it, but it's really looking at how can we build community and how can we identify students who maybe are in the margins or maybe who haven't found a place where they belong. How do we identify them? What do we do for them? It's all of those things really and more. Anyway, so we had done that last year, but this year we just haven't, just things are all also busy and we didn't really do too much with it. I don't think we've even met this school year, but it sounds like we're going to get started again. And the great thing is we're getting a second counselor in our section starting next school year. So it is, it's a really good time, I think, to get this started going again. So that was definitely a win. I'm excited to get that started. I just think it's so important. Love that. My fail for the week. Well, a couple of weeks ago, I contacted a couple of my co-teachers to see if they'd be willing to do an interview. Not an interview, but a chat on the podcast, and just to kind of talk about teaching internationally. And they agreed to do it, but we were going to wait at least a week because we had parent-teacher conferences. And then last week I didn't even mention it because then we also had, what did we have? Oh, we had reading and math night, family reading and math night. So I thought I'm not going to mention it last week because it was just too busy. I don't know about you, but when I have things going on, I just almost feel like I can't think about anything else. So I didn't even want to think about putting this podcast chat together while we were in the midst of all that. So anyway, all of that is to say that, I still haven't done it, but I'm hoping that it happens this week. I hope that this week will be the week. So we'll see. Anyway, there's really no deadline or anything, but I just really should probably get moving on that. So I'll keep you updated because if it happens, you'll definitely know about it. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to today's topic, which is, how do we now I say in the title, looking forward to Mondays, not just Fridays, but I mean really looking forward to any day of the week, but especially those that might be a little bit further away from a Friday or a Saturday. And I've been really inspired by this. I think about this topic a lot, actually, because, I think we're all, myself included, are all guilty of really overemphasizing a Friday and then maybe underemphasizing or even undervaluing a Monday or a Tuesday. We're all guilty of this, myself included. But the truth is, I really do enjoy each day of the week. I have such a strong feeling about this, and this is kind of why I wanted to bring it up, because I just think it's so important that we are enjoying all of the days, not just a Friday, not just a Saturday. And this is because, if we're only happy on a Friday or a Saturday, think about how many days in a week that we are unhappy. I don't know, it's a little bit depressing. So I wanted to have this chat because it's something that's been on my mind for a while. And, it's been brought up, I feel like, a few times. Maybe I was in a Twitter chat and something brought up about really finding the value of each day. I don't think that the sense of the topic was quite what I'm talking about, but really enjoying the moment. But that was, one of the things that I thought, well, yeah, I think it's so hugely important because you guys, that's exactly what our life is. It's right now. It's all of these moments, but it's not just Friday. It's not just Saturday. It's all the moments in between, and especially that moment right here, right now. What's happening to me? What is being involved in my life right now? Like right now, I am recording. That's what my life is about in the second, and I need to be able to enjoy it. When I was at school earlier, I was interacting with the students. I needed to enjoy those moments. Now, of course, you may argue, well, it's hard. And yeah, there are things that are not easy. Absolutely. And I think we know that as educators, we do not have easy jobs. What we do is not easy. And I know we say that, people say that. I don't know that others outside of our profession actually get the difficulty of it, because it is. One of the things that I believe makes being in this field very challenging is because we're not just doing one thing, right? If I were just teaching, that would probably be a lot easier, but we know that so much gets in our way of teaching, and I think that's the biggest frustration. I mean, I think this is so unique to our profession. If you think about every other field, everybody goes to work and they do their job, and there's not too much, I think, that gets in their way of doing their job. but we constantly have these obstacles, and we're being blocked from teaching. And that is where the frustration is. That's where it can be very challenging. So, okay, what are some of those challenges? We know, but just to kind of spell it out, behavior. So, and I'm not going to get into like, let's examine why are there behavior issues. Maybe there's something I need to change, which absolutely I think we need to reflect. What is happening? Is there a deeper issue with the student? Is it an issue with me? Do I need to change something up? Because certainly sometimes that is the case. But behavior is one of those things. Students who either diagnosed or undiagnosed, because I have young learners, so a lot of times they are undiagnosed, but they may have other things going on, like let's say learning disabilities or challenges, or there's attention issues. And I'm not saying that's really blocking the teaching, but sometimes it's like we're trying to get through, and then we're not quite sure how to do it. Those are challenges, and that's not, I value where any student is in his or her learning. I value any challenge that he or she may be experiencing, but I think honesty is, it's finding how to help the student understand it's a challenge, right? That is definitely a challenge. Then to go on top of that, like any maybe off-task behavior, things like that kind of goes with my initial thing that I said about behavior. But let's just say a student who's maybe is off task for a few, and they're not really completing what it is they're supposed to complete. I work in a workshop model, so they don't really have deadlines, but you'll occasionally get students who don't necessarily make very good use of their time, and that's going to put them behind. That's kind of something that blocks what's happening in the classroom. And then lots of emotions. This is what I think is the biggest block that we have, is like the emotions, and this can stem a lot of times like just conflicts that they're having. I know for us it seems like the biggest conflicts will happen from recess and then after school soccer, or any kind of sports. Like it just seems that that's when those conflicts are happening, and then of course inevitably they're bringing it into the classroom. So things that have gone on and they're upset, whether it happened after school, during their soccer, or even when it's happening in school, it's these conflicts, and then we've got to stop and try to help them to resolve it. And then at our age, they get, they're very emotional, they're very young, so they're still learning really how to regulate their emotions, practice self-control. And that's not easy. It's just not easy for 5 and 6-year-olds to do. I mean, sometimes it's not easy for adults to do. Unfortunately, we would hope that we would have had it mastered by then, but that's not always the case. So, the emotional piece can be very huge. There are things that might block students from really learning or producing because maybe they're going through an emotional experience. So for many of our students, it's just like mom's gone or dad's gone on a trip, whether it's for business or they're just on vacation. That happens a lot, and the kids get really sad, and sometimes that just comes out in a way where they're just very down, or they're crying a lot, or just affects them and their ability to really pay attention to what's going on, because obviously they're upset, and that's our first thing. We're going to we're paying attention to those emotions that we are feeling. So that happens. And then aside from all of those challenges and other obstacles that get in our way as teachers, as we know, or just like lots of events that happen and disruptions. I never mind if someone comes into my room, and sometimes that happens, and I just, whatever, it's fine. I'm not even talking about disruptions like that, but even just other thing like events happening at the school. And I do think that's healthy too. So I'm not saying this in a way as, oh, this is a huge obstacle and it's really getting in my way. No, I really think, taking time to do other things like, let's see, this week, what do we have? Oh, there is our elementary, no, not just the elementary section, but our drama teacher is putting on a play with our kids. So we're actually going to watch the pre-show. It's like they get a little sample of it. And it's just like a half hour. I'm actually really excited to go and watch it. But of course, it's 30 minutes out of our academic time. So I'm not complaining, but these are the obstacles that we run into. And then we also have a storyteller coming on campus. When is she coming? I think it's later this week. And again, that's like another half hour. So, nothing wrong with that. I think those things are good. I also think it's really healthy for the kids too to have some kind of, something that's a little novel in their day, not the same humdrum. It's good. I really strongly believe in routines and all of that, but it is also healthy to have sometimes where, something special happens. So completely fine and healthy, but nonetheless, things like that are blocking us from teaching. So teaching is just one of those professions, the only one I think that I can think of where teaching is only one part of what you do, and it's difficult to do it. You just keep having these roadblocks. You're trying to teach, you're trying to do things, and you can't. You get stopped a lot. It's almost, I don't know, if you can liken it to a game of football, American football. It's like it only goes for a little bit and then you get stopped and then it goes again and then it stops. I almost feel like teaching is very much that way because of all the stops and the blocking. So it's difficult. It's definitely difficult because if we could just teach, I think it would be more enjoyable. No, I shouldn't say more enjoyable. I think it would be easier. But as teachers, we're constantly being stopped and blocked and having to get back into it and then stopped and blocked and then having very challenging things that we deal with, as would be the case with anyone who really interacts with other humans. So this is what I think can make our profession so very difficult and complicated. Oh, and another thing that I almost forgot to mention, but I really don't want to because this is huge too, but another thing that gets in our way of teaching could actually be, all the mandates that are put on teachers. So, depending on where you're at and where you're teaching and what school and what district, you may be mandated to do things that maybe you don't necessarily agree with. So I think this would be another another way that our profession really differs from others, where we don't always get to make those professional decisions, unfortunately. And I do understand and agree with the need for some uniformity. You don't want everybody just doing their own thing. So I think there should be some of falling and of similarity, and definitely, if nothing else, shared end goals and objectives. I think those things are good. I think that gives you a clear roadmap for sure. But when you are mandated to maybe teach a certain way or do something that you don't believe in or you don't think it is good for the kids, it can be very disheartening. Because oftentimes a lot of those mandates are really coming from others who maybe they just are not as savvy as we are, because we are with the kids, and I think a lot of times we don't have all the answers. And certainly I know there are going to be teachers who maybe just do what they do and it's the minimum, but I don't believe that's the majority. I think the majority of us are probably really in there trying to make a difference and trying to do what's right. But it does become difficult when we have those mandates. It just kind of gets in the way of our teaching. So I'll just say that I really recognize the difficulty of our profession, and I understand that there are going to be super hard days as teachers. There's no way around it. I don't think, well, in any profession, there's no way around it. You have good days, you have bad days. What do you do? So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. Well, but what do you do? Because we want to enjoy every day equally as much as we can within reason. It's just very important because I just think if we're only living for the weekend, then it's a whole lot of miserable days. So, yeah, so I do think, like I kind of started out with this when I started talking about this, really recognizing the tiny moments that are making up our life, because that's what it is. It's right here, what I'm doing right now, what is happening, and trying to find the joy in that. And I know that's difficult. And we hear so much now about, mindfulness and being in the moment, but we're hearing about it for a reason. It is very important that we try to find the value in what's happening in the here and now. Because honestly, you guys, I don't know about you, but since I was 15, so it's been a while, since I was 15, I've been, I would say, hyper aware of how quickly time passes. I just remember being 15 and really having a difficult time with my old age of 15. But really just kind of like, oh my goodness, this is all going to be so fast. Soon I'm going to be 30, and that was old to me back then. Not quite anymore. But I've always been very hyper aware of the quickness of time. I always feel like my whole life is just going so fast. It's all going so fast, and I'm trying to get all these things done while I am still here on Earth, because I don't know that I'm going to be able to do all the things. So every day really is an opportunity. Every minute is an opportunity for me to try to produce something or accomplish something, or, read something, learn something new, because I just feel like my time is so limited. Which it is limited, as all of our lives are, all of our time for all of us is limited. And I know that probably sounds really morbid, but I've just been so hyper aware of the passage of time. It's one of the reasons why I think that I'm not someone who seeks, material things. I could care less. I need money because I gotta eat. I just need my basic stuff taken care of. I need a place to live. I need food. It's nice to have an electronic device, or to have internet, the things that I feel like I need so I can live and not die, because I'm not trying to die anytime soon. But also to be able to pursue the things that I'm pursuing, which a lot of times I'm researching things or I'm creating things. And I need access to information for that. So of course, like how that I love podcasts, and I love reading. Maybe you didn't know that. I think I've mentioned it before. So just all of these things. Anyway, so it all goes by really quickly. So I really do think it's important to really just enjoy our lives, and enjoy these moments that we have, because they're gone and then they're gone. They don't come back. So, if you can find the value in each moment, or at least each day, then I think you're doing yourself a favor. Like, I'm thankful every day that, hey, I woke up today. I am very thankful that I get to experience this day, and just listening to the birds sing. And right now the weather is so gorgeous, so things are growing outside. It's a growing season. It's so beautiful, and I really enjoy that. And I think, if we can find things to be really grateful for, it's just going to help us to really put value where I think value is deserved on every day. Every day there's value. I honestly believe this. I wouldn't be saying this if I didn't believe it. I wouldn't be promoting it if I didn't believe it. I just speak what I believe. That doesn't mean that it's very easy all the time. I don't think, I hope I'm not giving that impression that I'm all the time so happy, because I've talked before about being content and being happy and the difference, but really just finding the value and the gift that is, that surrounds us on a daily basis. And having the opportunity to work with students, I do believe that is a huge gift. Yes, of course, we have those experiences where sometimes it's difficult to see the gift for what it is at the moment. But, I do treasure my interaction with the kids, because, those kids are 5, 6 years old, and they're so funny, and just the way that they view life and the way that they express themselves, it's a gift to be able to surround myself with that. Every single day I get to go to my quote unquote job. I say quote unquote because I love it. It's not a job for me. And I'm surrounded by these beautiful children with, such loving hearts and just creativity, and they do help me to see the world in ways that I wouldn't have seen it, if it weren't for them. So that is a gift. That is a gift. And I think if we ever, as educators, come to the point where we don't feel like that's a gift, I wonder if maybe that is a good moment to just kind of reflect, on what we're doing, maybe reflect on our own professional choices. It might be time, maybe for some of us it's not the gift, and maybe there's something else out there that is going to fulfill us. But I do think if we ever get to the point where we don't think being around students is a gift, we really need to evaluate the situation. I really do think so. Yeah, so I don't know. I just kind of had a few suggestions about ways that we can really embrace the moment, embrace each day, and put value on a Monday, on a Tuesday, on a Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, which we always really value, and of course Saturday and Sunday. But one thing is really intentionally asking ourselves, what is so special about today? What was it a conversation that I had? Something must have happened in the 24 hours that made it special. Even if it's like, oh, I took this awesome nap, which I used to nap all the time and I no longer do because I felt I was napping my life away. Now I just go to bed at a ridiculous early time, so I don't know if I'm gaining any more time by doing that, because I'm still going to bed super early. But yeah, what happened today? What made it special? Maybe it was just that, hey, I've got running water and that is awesome. I don't know, but just finding what makes the day special. Also, maybe asking yourself, how am I growing? Sometimes I think when we feel like we are stagnant, at least for me, when I don't feel like I'm developing or growing, that can cast a shadow over me for sure. It absolutely can. So, yeah, how are you growing? What are you doing? So I'll share an example right now. I've recently signed up with our math coach. Oh, I had an interview with her, Amy Buchanan. That was way back, I think at the beginning of the school year. Currently, I'm in the 17-18 school year as I record this. So yeah, anyway, I signed up to do like a math cycle with her. It's totally voluntary, but if you sign up and if you're accepted, based on schedules, because she can only work with so many people, then you get to do some, co-teaching or, whatever you want to make of it, set some goals. She can teach, she can teach a group, you teach a group, you can, whatever you work it out to be is what it will be. So I signed up for this bimester. We're now in bimester 4, and yeah, we're doing this fantastic cycle together. And I feel like this is right now, I mean, I'm always working on something to say this is my area of growth. It's almost laughable because I usually have, like, I could fill a plate full of growth areas. It's ridiculous. But this is one of my areas of growth where I just thought, you know what? I feel like I'm always pushing myself in many, many ways, but I don't know that I'm always pushing myself as much as I can in becoming a better math teacher. So this is definitely, it's an area of growth. I think I'm going to get a lot out of this. So I'm excited. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm growing in that way. I'm also doing other things, as you guys know. I'm learning about gamification. I've been trying that out a little bit. I just finished a book, Explore Like a Pirate, which was all about gamification. So of course I'm like interested in that aspect. So yeah, so this is how I'm growing. So I would say, ask yourself, how are you growing? If you're listening to this podcast, my guess is you're probably already pushing yourself to growth, at least in some way, because just the fact that you're listening to it shows me that, you seek those things out, probably much like I do. If I'm interested in learning, I'm going to seek out those opportunities, and that's what you're doing with this podcast that you definitely don't have to be listening to, but you've chosen to do it. So if you're listening to this, that's an area I would guess that you're probably already working on, or at least in some degree. Okay. And aside from that, and also very related is challenging yourself. I love a good challenge. So let me give you an example of, different challenges. So it goes along with growth, because when you challenge yourself, you're going to grow. But I like to try to, if I hear of something that someone is doing or trying, then I kind of will be like, oh, let me try that new thing. Maybe it's not going to be a huge growth, but it's maybe challenging because I haven't done it before. Maybe it's challenging because I am, I am going to be doing a lot of growth from it because I know nothing about this thing that I'm trying. This year I was in a Twitter chat and someone talked about how they send messages home to the parents, or, like nice positive messages. And I thought, oh, maybe I can do that, but with the kids, and then they share it with their parents. So it's really going to the students, who I have to read it to, of course. And then they take it home and they share it with their parents. So I kind of challenged myself, and I said, okay, I'm going to make sure that every kid gets a note. I'm going to keep track, and I'm going to try this. And I did, and I was able to come up with a system where I just kind of, write a note on a Post-it card, I leave it on their desk, because finding a way to do it, sometimes what prevents us is having a good system or the logistics of things. And then once you figure it out, you're like, oh, great, I can do this. And then you work on improving it and perfecting it. So I just started doing this, and it was very simple. I discovered to just put a tally mark next to their name. I wrote a little note I put on their desk. I just make sure those who I left a note for at the end of the day, I go to their desk and I read it to them. Now that they're so used to seeing it, they'll raise their hand and ask, oh, what does your note say? And so I read it to them, and then I tell them, okay, you're going to take it home to mom and dad, show mom and dad. And so this was a challenge. That came from a challenge that I challenged myself to do that. And now it's pretty regular. I'm not going through all students as quickly as I was when I first was challenging myself. I'm just more intentional now at finding, making sure that I'm leaving some notes throughout the week. So that was kind of a challenge, and now I feel like, oh, that's something that I enjoy doing, and it's, I think, a nice part of our day to be able to have that. So I don't know that I can say I didn't really grow professionally from that, but I think I have improved things, and of course I think that helps with student rapport and relationships. So it's definitely working towards something. Maybe I didn't grow as a professional, but I'm doing something that is very, I think, helpful in the classroom. So challenges, whatever they are, I think are really good. It can cause growth. Or it may maybe you won't grow too much, but you'll just be including a new element, like I did with that. in your day or in your classroom that will improve things. So, so I think giving ourselves challenges is going to help because, I don't know, when you try something new, the novelty of it just, gives you something a little bit different, and then you start looking forward to it. So I definitely think that's something important to do, and will help us to enjoy each day when we're doing challenges like that. Or just whatever challenges, not necessarily like that, but just challenging ourselves. Okay, you guys, I think that is it then. That really sums up today's talk of how we can look forward to Mondays, not just Fridays. So again, let me just recap really quickly. Some of our big ideas that came out of today's talk was that, it really is important that we find the value out of every day. We don't want to just live for the weekend because there's so many days in between, and, it's probably better if we enjoy those days. So some of the things that I said we can try to do that is just, realizing that life is made up of these tiny moments. And it's really important to look at those moments and be in the moment, appreciating them, finding the value for what's happening right here and right now. Being thankful for another day, for another opportunity, but just, being thankful and being grateful for the things that we have. And that probably means being very intentional and thinking about what was so special about today, what happened, what maybe funny thing did a student say that made me laugh, or, maybe something really nice happened. Maybe a friend did something really nice. On last Friday, I had a friend come in and she brought me a Starbucks coffee. I had no idea that was happening. It was such a nice surprise, and she made my day. I was immediately happy, and then I went into my morning just, so happy, and I just felt that was such a nice gesture of her, and it was totally unexpected. She just came in, had the coffee. It was a nice surprise. So yeah, that was, that doesn't happen to us every day, but what was special about today, even if it was a very, maybe more mundane thing, what was it? And then how are you growing? And if you're not growing, maybe look for opportunities to grow, because I know for myself, I do not feel good when I am stagnant in my growth. I always feel like I need to be constantly pursuing something. I think I could probably take this to the extreme. So, you don't have to go to the same level that I do. But I do believe that we are going to enjoy life a little bit more when we are taking opportunities to grow and develop. And maybe it's in our professional life. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's in something else, but something that's going to help us to really appreciate the here and the now. And then in addition to that, challenging ourselves. Finding ways that you can challenge yourself. Maybe it's going to help you grow. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just bringing another element into something you're already doing, but a nice challenge. And I think that novelty of it is just going to, make your day just a little bit nicer. All right, you guys. So that is it. The show is wrapped up. What do you think? Do you have any other tips that you'd like to add to that? Are you trying to enjoy each day as it comes? Let me know what you think. You can tweet at me at Tammy J. That's TAMIJ123. I'll see you next time.
Wait a minute. Wait 1 minute. Before you go, don't forget you can catch our show notes online at www.timetoteach.libsyn. That's libsyn.com. We're also on Facebook at Time to Teach. Don't forget to check out our Facebook group, Teachers for Effective Curriculum. And if you're an educator with your own podcast show, I invite you to join our brand new Facebook group, Teachers Who Podcast. Let's grow a community where we can network, problem solve, and discuss anything and everything podcast related. I'll see you there.